because we have a lot of great people from SyFy, and there goes the sound. I've never talked in a microphone before, so there we go. We're going to start off with welcoming our guests in. I'm Christiane Elin. I'll be your moderator for today. And you can find me on Red Gleam Media. That's my site. And I'm happy to be here at Stanley's Comikaze. I mean, who wouldn't want to be here with Stanley, right? Pretty amazing. So first of all, let's have from Fact or Fake Paranormal Files on SyFy, the team lead, Ben Hansen. And then from SyFy's Haunted Collector and Investigator, Researcher, Jason Gates.
Did you skip?
I don't know, skipping just happened, so let's see. Josh, you're going to be able to do that? And next up we have from Destination Truth and also a SyFy stranded producer, Josh Gates.
Hi.
The person that I know that's closest to being the real-life Lara Croft is here today. So from Chasing UFOs and Destination Truth, Aaron Ryder.
Oh, I thought you were going to trip.
I did too.
We got the beige center going on here. Shop of the Gates brothers. Gates brothers.
I just wanted to point out, I did bring a first aid kit with me today, so make sure.
If you need it.
Thanks for joining me today. This is all of you guys' first time at Comikaze?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
In fact, it is.
What
about you guys? Whose first year is it?
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Hopefully you came out for this, right? Tell me you want this more. Next year.
I appreciate you coming too, because Stan and Lee, I think, is talking. Oh, there goes half the room.
Buy a ticket, $60. It's nothing, you know. Well, guys, you know, I've enjoyed watching the shows and love the paranormal. And as a paranormal investigator myself, I just wanted to know if you needed to know the lyrics of Ray Parker Jr.'s theme song from Ghostbusters to qualify. Is this Fact or Fake?
Ironically, when I was a kid, we used to go roller skating. This is, you know, when they had the 4 wheels and they were like in a little roller skates, not blades, anyways. Whenever that song would come on, the Ghost Hunter song, or Ghostbusters, I had this thing where I had to go out on the rink and skate around as fast as I could. I don't know why I did it. But that was like my thing, it like energized me, so that's my story.
He still listens to it when he goes to the gym.
I wish I had a pair of skates for you right now, man.
What's roller skating?
We're going to video you guys too while
Oh, yeah.
we're up here, so you guys are going to be in my video on my website.
Take off the cap.
Take off the cap.
I haven't even started. You think I don't know how to use a camera? I just sit it down here and I'm like, your cap's on. Fake. I know, you guys are the ones who watch like every second of the show, huh? And then you email and like, you see in 2 minutes and 43 seconds, mine is flying over Bill's head.
Now, your shows deal with a little bit of different things with the paranormal. We've got UFOs, we've got cryptids, and we've got haunted items. So, let's get to a little rapid fire on some of those things because I'm sure you get a lot of the same questions, so I'm gonna ask them too. Do you have a favorite piece of evidence in any of your cases? We're gonna do this quickly, so. Go ahead, Ryder, you want to start?
I shot a UFO, or what I believe to be is something unidentified, in Stephenville, Texas, on the Chasing UFO show. It's probably one of the most significant pieces of evidence that I've ever captured. It's pretty unique, and I've never seen anything like it, so that's on the list for me.
Amazing.
Probably for me, we found this giant footprint in the Himalayas in Nepal that was analyzed and was determined to be anatomically accurate, and so that for me is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence that we found of a cryptid, and probably certainly for me one of the most mysterious things that we found.
Didn't they have that on display to like Walt Disney World?
It is. It's down in Animal Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
On display. So if you go
I
to
thought
the
I saw it like
exhibition,
in line at Toy Story or something. But I was
no. You're over there for some new roller skates. No, it's at the Expedition Everest ride at Animal Kingdom.
I think probably wow, that's really loud. I think probably my favorite piece of evidence we caught, Amy and I were investigating this home. It was just the two of us for the night. And I mean, the first thing that happened was there was a bathroom where they had the water would come on and off. And I looked at the surveillance video and the water was on. So that was crazy. So she goes in to check the water. But after that is when I saw the sheets on the bed. Basically, it was like something billowed underneath, almost like wind, but it looked like something rose up out of it, and we caught that on the surveillance video. So, I mean, we went in, checked if the windows were open, no windows were open. So to this day, I do not know what that is, and it freaked the crap out of me. I mean, it's crazy.
I always talk about two different events. One of them was the first time I saw object manipulation. Objects moving by themselves was in a cemetery in Indiana, and I felt like something was pacing me, wearing roller skates. No, I would hear leaves crunch every step I took, and I took out my flashlight. I went back in during lunch break to try and get myself scared, and I watched a pile of leaves depressed in the shape of a footprint, like right in front of me, just crunch. So weird things like that had happened, and we also had a good, really good UFO video, which I was not at, but it was in Florida where we captured this kind of light come out of the forest and just take off.
That's amazing. I want to go to all those places and do those things. As do you. Luckily, we get to go along with you, and thank you for that. Another question that's really popular, do you have a favorite location? It doesn't necessarily have to be based on the evidence, or... You want to start?
Favorite location?
That you've investigated. Maybe because of history, or... Do you want to give you some time?
Well, sure. I love places like Josh and Aaron, like places that are tropical or nice. I used to live in Australia for a bit, and when we went back there, I loved the Great Barrier Reef, and we were looking for a mermaid, but that didn't pan out. But I love anywhere that you can enjoy kind of that's what I love about Destination Truth too, is you enjoy the culture and everything while you're there, and the stories are kind of interwoven, with what you're investigating. So we've had a lot of cool places, but just for different reasons.
Along the tropical way of thinking, yes, we did a case in Hawaii, and there's something about the island that's just different, the different energy there. So I think investigating there was one of my favorite experiences. I mean, we found some incredible evidence, and just definitely a different feeling there than on the mainland.
I don't want to speak for Ryder, but I think we're probably going to go to the opposite end of the thermometer and say Antarctica. Would that be yours? Yeah. We did an episode in Antarctica, and I think that's probably my favorite of all the places that we've investigated, simply because it was the hardest place to get to. It was the hardest episode to produce, and it was a place that, I don't know that I thought I was ever going to get to see, and so to be able to go down there and to investigate these abandoned whaling stations and old science facilities and stuff at the bottom of the world was, crazy. Just really a dream come true.
Yeah, it's probably as close as I'll get to being on another planet. It was absolutely spectacular and unlike anything I'd ever seen, so definitely Antarctica.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode. That was quite the epic travel experience that you shared with us. Finally, let's just get it figured out and How are Jason and Josh related?
Well, we shop at the same blazer store.
We go to the same beard groomer.
That's right. Weirdly, we haven't been at an event together before. We really met this morning for the first time, really.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about, my family hails from Massachusetts, his from San Francisco, so we don't know where the interlink is, but somewhere way back in time, I guess we probably are related. But he's like the action figure version of me.
Okay, the other big question is, Ben and Josh, I know it's been a rivalry here, right? Not really, but how tall are you and which
I think you win. Are you taller than me? I think you are.
A little bit.
Let's do it.
I thought you were talking about taking jail.
Oh my gosh, you're doing so much trouble.
Ben taller?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that mystery's been solved today because
Ben wins.
it's been on my mind and a lot of other people's minds, I'm sure. Now, since we're at Stanley's Comikaze, of course, there's a lot of costumes. There's some in the audience, right? You been dressed up today? Yeah, cosplay. So, any of you, if you'd like to show up, what would you like to cosplay in?
Oh, you prepped me for this question too.
That's like a one question.
Oh. Yeah, it's got to be like a full-on costume. You can't just show up like.
Yes, you can't just put like a hat on.
I'll pass.
Elvira?
You guys.
Elvira Zini?
I'd probably hands down go as Josh Gates. Although we're almost there. I'm a huge video game guy, so I don't know if anybody else is, but I would go as Commander Shepard.
Yeah!
That's my dream, to be Commander Shepard.
I don't know. Ben, you're a Herman Munster lock, first of all. I mean, it's just a gimme. It's very tall. I don't know who I would be. Ryan?
I would be the $6 million man. Just so I could do the sound effects the whole time.
I tried to get, actually in Comic-Con, I tried to get someone to make me a Bigfoot suit. Like a really good one. Right? This was before we did our episode, and I was like, I need a suit because I just want to go to the SyFy party. And you know how they take the pictures behind the background? I just wanted to do the pose. I just walked on and people were like, who are you wearing? But I would probably go with like Tron. I think it would be cool to no claps there. Just be all in like neon and glowing, and then if someone annoys you, take your frisbee and just chuck it out. Take them out.
Okay, Jason, we're gonna get down to some haunted collector business.
Okay.
Okay, so I made a list. I got some notes. What notorious, possibly haunted item would you like to collect? So here's your choices. The Hope Diamond. I'm just going to assume the Titanic is haunted.
The whole thing?
Yes.
I'll take the diamond.
John Zappas could do it. And Robert the Doll from Key West, Florida. Or the Dybbuk box from the Possession movie. Or maybe Annabelle from the Conjuring movie.
The masochistic side of me would take probably the Dybbuk box, but I'd probably take the diamond.
High resale value.
Now, luckily we got to see Aaron Ryder on both Chasing UFOs and Destination Truth. Anybody get to see Chasing UFOs on Nat Geo? Yes. Looking for some aliens and some UFO life. Now, what are your thoughts about like Area 51? Because you went out there, so what do you think they're hiding out there?
I think at this point there's nothing there, because if I were them, I'd move it all. I mean, it's too well known. Security's tight at all those bases. I think it's just for some reason it's gotten the most mystery behind it. There's bases all over that have, you know, stories that go back to Project Blue Book, and you know, they're just as well known, but they're not as sought after as, you know, as 51. I think for a long time they hit a lot of stuff there, and I think now it's gone elsewhere to other locations that we don't know about yet that we'll eventually find. But it's not as big a mystery as you'd like. That's my feeling behind it.
Baby actually cried.
Give him his skates. He needs his skates back a little better.
I do. I think they've moved most of it. And there's still stuff going on. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Like, the airport itself is very reactive. I know many people who work out there. They're flown in daily from Las Vegas, McCarran. And there's a lot of people going on, but I think it's more kind of like routine, you know, testing of stuff that's not... Area 51 was like where anything could happen. It's like the rumor mills, like they've already cloned humans and they're walking around, and you know, everything goes on there because we really don't know. But I think it has moved to some other bases that we've kind of kept our eye on.
We need to find those bases. You guys need a new show, Find Where the Aliens Are. Now, Josh, a few months ago you shared something with all of us on Twitter about your personal life, that you had gotten engaged, and there was, well, let's talk about the elephant involved.
The elephant in the room.
Congratulations!
I got engaged to an elephant. I got engaged in April on elephant back in the jungles of Thailand. Yeah.
I know, I'm hearing some sighs from some women though. They're not. They're not. It's like I'm not engaged, but I imagine like when you did that, people started like befriending you and stuff. And then the married ones started adding you.
Now, since we're thanks for the friend. Now, Josh, you're a well-traveled man, and so now that you have, do you feel like you have this pressure because now you have to think of this awesome honeymoon location? So...
Right. So I did feel the pressure for the engagement. I felt like if I had popped the question like at a Denny's or something in Rancho Cucamonga, I was going to be in trouble. So I went very exotic for the proposal, and we talked a lot about doing a destination wedding. That kind of seemed like it was in, and my fiance is a real travel nut as well, and so we talked about that. And in the end, we've decided not to do that. We're gonna get married next year on the East Coast, and but we have not started planning our honeymoon. I'm sure that it will be international. I don't know where. We've got a lot of airline miles to cash in, so
yeah.
maybe we'll lean into those.
Well, hope you'll share a little bit with us.
Yes.
When you do. You can get more
Share the miles or
more friend for you.
just brings that to the wedding.
And then you'll have more friend requests from married women. So anyway. Now, okay, hypothetical question here. So if you're going to run into Bigfoot, what would you do? Would you tag his baggage?
This is because of my tweet last night, wasn't it? Okay, guys. I went Bigfoot hunting in Arizona like 3 weeks ago, okay? And it was intense. This guy says that they've come down into his camp and he leaves cookies and things for them, and Diet Coke. Okay, no, serious. Now, I believe this guy has had some really credible experiences, and I'm editing a little video of our trip. You can see on my website, hopefully this week. And anyways, I was there in the tent, and we're hearing these noises. I've got a little earpiece in my, because he's in a trailer, right? I'm in a tent. And
I have a lot of questions about this trip.
I'm sitting there, and throughout the night, I get woken up because he radios me. He's like, something just bumped the trailer. And I'm like, awake, my heart's beating. I'm like, should I wake everyone else up? What should I do? And then, again, a shadow just moved by the window. And I'm like, getting ready. So I didn't sleep like all night long. But the next day, we started making plans. Like, what if we really find him? And you know you've been doing this too long when it involves, we had this whole idea, I had a taser. I didn't want to kill him. Because I had like a line of handguns to protect me if he got, you know, too far in the tent. But we had the taser.
So you kill him.
I was gonna tase him. Then we were going to tie him off with rope in this guy's pickup truck, cover it up like in Harry and the Hendersons. Then drive into town, call the news, and we had a list of people we would call. So that when they come, the press will record it and they can't deny it. Take the body away. And we found a body up here in the woods. We don't know if it's human or not, whatever. Meet us at the Walmart parking lot. And then we just pull off the tarp and there will be the creature just waking up and boom. And we've scored, we found, we proved it.
So that's why none of us will go camping with Ben.
Right. I want to get my head around this trip for a second. You're in a tent with tasers, a bunch of handguns, and Diet Coke and cookies. And then you got some dude in an adjacent trailer. First of all, why are you guys in separate places?
He doesn't sleep in a tent anymore. He won't anymore. He slept in the trailer. He's got the big parabolic mic, and he's listening on the outside. And the cookies and the Diet Coke were out, and enchilada meat. We're
naturally, I mean, that's a given.
We're on the table. We're on the park table, and we got all these cameras, you know, like focused on it, motion detectors. So he'd be like, the motion detector went off. And so I like unzipped the part of my tent, like right up and put out my night vision thermal, and I'm like looking around. I don't even know if I want to look out there. Yeah, you should come.
That's the next event, right? You're announcing it today?
That's
Bring
right.
your taser day.
Bigfoot's running around. Don't tase me, bro. I just want a cookie.
Is the Diet Coke in the can? Closed? It's not open. It's not
He's
like
got video. He's got video of some.
If you hold on, stop. If you tell me he's got video of Bigfoot opening a Diet Coke, I'm leaving.
Not opening it. We don't know. We don't know. It could A, be a homeless man, or B, be a Cub Scout raiding his little area. Or it could be Bigfoot because it reaches into the cooler and grabs it and like looks around and then takes some other stuff and walks off. Very grainy.
What if it's vegetarian?
Vegetarian? The Diet Coke's not a good thing for him. It's got the aspartame in it. He can come back and try to sue us later for or for tasing him.
Because Josh, you came the closest with the Yeti. I mean, what did you think when you found that and you were like, did you...
Well, I don't want to cast any aspersions on you. Ben's gonna I don't know I came closest. It sounds like Ben was close to something.
You didn't have Diet Coke. You had Diet Coke. That would
For us, because look, there are these mystery primate stories really in every culture in the world. Bigfoot is not a North American phenomenon or even a Western phenomenon. It's known by a lot of names in really almost every country in the world. And we've looked for a lot of them on Destination Truth. I think the experience that I had in the Himalayas was unique in that we were in an area where there were no other people around. We were not on a trail. We were just sort of bushwhacking around at these really high elevations. And to come across a run of tracks in an area where you know there's not someone ahead of you. There's no guy up there with a giant Bigfoot stamper, and there's no people up there. So that to me was really compelling in that, and it was extremely exciting for the Sherpas and the support people that were with us. And to me, it was one of those things where a lot of those, well, it could have been this or it could have been this, kind of started to fall away. So that made it really compelling for me. I mean, look, I don't know if it's a real creature. I mean, of all the sort of iterations of Bigfoot, I'm a Yeti guy. I love the Himalayan version of the story, and I would love that story to be real. But I don't know. Maybe it's a bear. Maybe maybe it's something else. But it is a really powerful story that has endured for a very long time, and you meet a lot of people in different parts of the world that are having these encounters, and so. To me, it's a compelling mystery. I don't know what it is, but I think it's a very compelling story.
You have been likened to, what, Yukon Cornelius from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I've seen it online, so if you're looking for a cosplayer,
Yeah.
you can really get it. Now, Ryder, did you hunt for the chupacabra? Have you,
No,
have
I
you
wasn't
done that?
on
You
that.
haven't. And then, what cryptic beast would you like to find?
Out of all of them? Out of any of them? The unknowns?
Or just have like clear proof of its existence?
I think the hardest for me to really believe in is the North American Bigfoot. So that would be one that I would really like to find some evidence of, some really solid proof of. That's one for me that I would really, love to see and capture. I mean, it sounded like Ben was hot on the trail, so I'm gonna maybe suit up with him, maybe grab a net gun. And...
You're on the list. You have to call. When we get to Walmart, it's gonna make it there really fast though, because I don't know how long you'll stay asleep.
The Walmart site might come really interesting that night.
Think of all the promos. We could get a Walmart commercial out of it. We could get Diet Coke, Little Miss Debbie cookies.
Seriously, if you had him opening the can, dude, it would
Totally, and everyone would be out the next weekend camping with the cookies and the Coke.
take a piece of the pie, man.
Now, Jason, you've gone and collected a lot of haunted items. Is there any place that you feel like deserves a return visit?
Oh man, Hawaii? No. Let's see. Gosh, that's a hard one. I would say almost everywhere because, when we go into a place and we pull out an object, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. In fact, I'd say usually it doesn't. It may alleviate the problem, and we may be completely wrong. So I think any of these places, there's still going to be activity, and pretty much every place I think deserves another visit.
How about Ben? Do you have a place that you think that you're like, oh, we went there and I think that I need more? Because I've investigated and there's some places I think they're calling me back. I'm a little frightened.
Yeah, it's usually I love going to Tombstone, Arizona. Really, really active, that whole town. I would love to go back to the USS North Carolina. Something was very angry at me there. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, sometimes I forget what the names of these ghosts are, and I'm like, there was a soldier who fell down like 4 flights inside the, the hatches where they climb up the ladders, and he fell to his death, and I just walked over, I thought his name was Timmy. And I walked over, I said, "This is where little Timmy fell in the well." I went down, his name was Tommy, and one of these big serving trays that weigh like 5 to 10 pounds in the kitchen, the lids to the stainless steel things lifted up and slammed down right behind me. And then it destroyed a DSR camera just like this, threw it 30 feet while we were filming just right behind us and dented the lens. So I love going to places like that. Like, do you remember me? I put all my equipment on the floor though, so it doesn't get chucked because that stuff does happen.
Josh, do you have a place you'd like to return to? Maybe Chernobyl or?
Chernobyl is probably one place I think I probably wouldn't return to. Not because it wasn't amazing. I think in all places we've been to at Destination Truth, it's one of the most memorable places for me that we've been to. Just the scale of it is incredible. I think before I went to Chernobyl, I thought of it as a place that there's going to be a reactor and a couple of empty buildings. It's really an entire city. It's apartment building after apartment building, a hotel, a civic center, a carnival.
The carnival's going on.
They set up a carnival just before the accident. I'm not sure if I think it opened the day before or 2 days before. So there's a huge Ferris wheel and bumper cars, and it's like being in a video game. I mean, you walk street after street, block after block, and it's like this empty world that you can go into any room, and if you go into these apartment buildings and you push open a door to a room, it's like there's clothes in the closets and food on the table kind of thing, and people just left and never came back. And I wanted to take all sorts of things, but everything's irradiated, so it's like
you glow for weeks.
Yeah, like in the school, there's like homework on the desks from that morning, or newspapers from that morning. But it also it's a place that you can visit now. They're doing sort of, you can go in for an hour or two, kind of tours and stuff, but to go for the amount of time that we did and kind of bushwhack around into these buildings, it's just not very safe. And so I think for me, it was a really scary place and a very sad place, but I don't think I would go back there. I think I would, in a heartbeat, love to go back to the Himalayas, and I would love to go to Tibet. It's a place we've never been to on the show, but we've been near there, so to return to the Himalayas to look for the Yeti. Island of the Dolls is a place that in Mexico was a really fun episode. And we went back this last year to the Haunted Forest in Romania, and we were going to either go there or the Island of the Dolls, because those are the two episodes that we get the most kind of people that want to, you know.
Yeah, that was you guys that did it, because I get asked all the time, when you were in the Island of the Dolls, and I'm like, I don't remember this.
Yeah, right. It's because Jael was there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And so I'd love to go back there, and you know, to Jason's point, probably 1,000 other places. You know, I think for us to go to these places and do an investigation, it kind of scratches the surface. You know, we're trying to do a credible investigation, but we're also making a television show, so we're only there for a limited amount of time. So I don't know that we ever really give these places their due in a night or a couple of nights. So I'd love to go back to most of them.
I would like the Lobo Zone episode to be.
Yeah, that would.
Just
I'll
that
go
one,
to
yeah.
Argentina anytime.
Now, Ryder and Josh, there were some rumblings about something that's sort of in the beginning stages that's going on, and it's kind of like a Destination Truth style trips. Maybe we can go along with you?
That is kind of a early stages thing. Last year, I kind of got a bug that I was going to try to organize some kind of adventure travel type thing. It didn't materialize this year. I hope it'll materialize next year. You know, look, we've had so many people come to us over the years saying, how can we be on Destination Truth? Will you do a contest to have a fan or a viewer come with you on an investigation? And we have tried to do that since the beginning of the show, and it just hasn't been feasible. It's an insurance liability, and it's been hard to get the channel to integrate that. So, you know, it's something that we'd like to do outside of the show. And for me, travel is a big part of my life, and beyond the sort of investigative stuff, getting people excited about travel and engaged with travel is a big deal to me. So it's something that is still in the early stages, but I think hopefully will materialize this next year. And to find opportunities to organize kind of trips, maybe to some of the places that we've been to on the show, or to other, you know, adventure travel destinations around the world. So that's kind of a stay tuned answer, unfortunately, but hopefully it is something that we get off the ground soon.
All right,
Get
so
to eat
start saving.
lots of bugs.
Yeah,
Start
anybody wants to come eat bugs?
Come eat bugs.
Blue eggs and yummy things. Now, speaking of travel, since that's a lot what you guys do, like you're traveling, you have lots of frequent flyer miles. Jason, do you have any like travel tips out on the road that went over your travels that you think, oh, people should really would benefit from this knowledge?
Oh my gosh, travel tips, travel trips, travel tips. Wear comfortable clothes on the plane. I don't know. I'd always wear. It's funny. Everybody always get mad at me. I don't know why they get mad at me, but I have these like ridiculous robot like felt PJs, and they're just like I'd wear them at the airport every time, and I thought it was great. I'm like, this is normal, you know. I'm finding comfort. And everybody's like, oh god, oh, like embarrassed for me. So I'm wearing these.
Robot?
Robot, yeah.
What does that mean?
Like robots. Like,
Robot.
like, that was more of a song. Yeah.
Wait, they got robots on then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a new thing.
They had animatronic ants on. Like run through the airport really fast. No, straight up like cartoon robot pajamas. So, I mean, those are my go-to airport clothing of choice. So I'd recommend those. To make a long story short, yes, wear robot PJs.
What do you got for travel tips?
Well, also you have John wearing comfortable Cosby sweaters.
Right.
This guy, John, he has the biggest sweater collection you've ever seen in his house. Like, I'm not even joking. He has a whole closet dedicated to ridiculous sweaters. It's amazing.
Puts Bill Cosby to shame.
Yeah.
Travel tips. I would say right now there's so much research you can do on the internet about any location that you want to go to, and you can read reviews and you can find the cheapest and the best, but don't over-research. That's the biggest thing that I can say is get the bare bones to your trip, but don't over-plan it. Don't plan every single minute, every single day of your trip, because you're going to find a place that you love and you're going to want to stay, and you're going to want that kind of flexibility. So plan the top 5, 10 things that you really want to do, but don't really tie yourself into a real tight schedule where you don't get to breathe and you don't get to relax and really enjoy where you are. I think that's really key to, especially any international destination, because it takes longer to get to places than you think it does. And then when you're there, you end up wanting to do things that you didn't even think were available to you, you know? Proposing on elephants or renting roller skates. You never know what's available.
I could do 2 hours right now on travel tips.
Rent a car that works.
Yeah, rent a car that works. Third tip. I think for me, people in America don't travel as much as perhaps we all should. The percentage of Americans with a passport is like 23% now. And there's a couple of really good reasons for that. There's less vacation time in America than most industrialized countries in the world. But I think another big barrier that people feel is this financial barrier. They can't afford to travel. And I really wholeheartedly reject this idea that travel can't be affordable. I think it's in some ways a smokescreen, or it's a fear that people have. They think that if they are going to go somewhere international, it's going to be hugely expensive. There are a lot of ways to travel very cheaply. And is the gentleman here that we were talking about the airline credit card earlier? No, he's not here. I do a talk at the LA Times Travel Show every year about how to sort of game, the system a little bit with this stuff. And a great place to start is an airline credit card. If you just spend the way you normally spend right now, but you have a credit card that's giving you miles on a particular carrier, you don't have to spend any more than you're spending now. You can, within a year, if you spend kind of as much as the average American kind of spends a year in groceries and gas and things like that, you can probably get yourself enough miles for a trip, at least in the United States, if not beyond. And in a couple of years, you certainly could get yourself a free flight almost anywhere in the world. So I just encourage people to use the tools that are out there for planning trips now. There's an incredible amount of information on the internet. And realize that if you really put some time into planning it, you can travel very cheaply. So.
Oh, is it me?
And comfortable pants on the plane.
With robots on it.
Tips, travel tips. No, I don't really think about traveling a lot. I just go. That's good advice right there. Just go. No, I bring way too much stuff. Try to minimize what you're bringing, because I love how Indiana Jones just has his hat and his knapsack. It's like, but not me. I bring everything I might possibly need, but then everyone comes to me later and says, "Well, do you have this converter? Do you have this or that?" I'm like, "You didn't know it was a different voltage here." So I have to take care of everyone else anyways. Bring a first aid kit of some sort, and did you say Pepto? Yes. Yes. Lots.
Systematic, yes. Yeah. Pepto and Cipro. Always in my pocket.
Well, we're going to open up the microphone to you guys now. If you have any questions, you want to come up to the mic.
I was wondering if you guys had any supernatural events that happened before you get into investigating that was significant in your life that led to you investigating.
Go ahead.
No.
I did not.
I grew up in upstate New York in the Hudson Valley, and I grew up during this time of UFO sightings called the Night Siege. And it was, everyone was seeing these triangular
sounds fun.
lit crabs.
I grew up in the Night Siege.
It was actually quite beautiful. And no, my grandfather and my uncle had both had a sighting of this unidentified flying object, and it was really interesting for me. Being so little, I would go out there and just expect to see something, as quickly as they did. And I think I've spent a lot of time, staring at the sky, and it's really kind of set me up for being able to do those things and follow those mysteries like I do on Destination Truth.
It's kind of funny. I started doing paranormal investigation probably when I was in middle school, and at that point it was just your typical, juvenile investigation, going to the cemeteries, the local legends, which was fun. I just wanted to see something so bad. For about, I think, 10 years, I didn't see anything, didn't experience anything. So even now, I consider myself a skeptical believer, but total skeptic. And then it wasn't until I moved out to LA and in my apartment, I had something happen. It was a reoccurring experience, probably happened about 15 times in about 3 months, where I'd wake up in the middle of the night. It wasn't sleep paralysis, you know, I could move everything. I would just wake up, I'd see a shadow move across from the wall, across the ceiling down. Blinds were shut, no light coming through, and then my bed would start shaking. Yeah, no fun.
And it was multiple times?
Yes, it happened about 15 times in 3 months. Oh my gosh, that line got huge. Sorry. But, and being like a total skeptic, I'd get up out of bed, and I wasn't scared, I was just like, what is going on? I'd get up out of bed, like check everything, go check, make sure no one's coming to the elevator. The next day I'd check earthquake reports, like everything, but it was always the same sequence of events. And that kept going on and on. It happened in a hotel room where we broke down. And then make a long story short, because it's a long story now. Woke up with a name in my head, Roberta Page, really strange name. I'm like, what is this? Didn't think anything of it. Decided to look it up. A woman had died in the apartment building a few blocks down, or whatever, named Roberta Page a couple years before. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But then what was weird is after I found that, all activity went away. So that was kind of the moment I was like, okay, something's going on, and I want to find out more about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've had experiences, but some of them are like really kind of personal. You guys think I'm crazy. No, I did have. I've seen at least 3 different UFO objects. One of those occurred far before the show started, and the ghost hunting stuff that I used to do, but nothing like I've seen on the show now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is for when you guys were talking about secret government bases like Area 51. We always hear Area 51 all the time, or Wright-Patterson, but not enough about the Dulce base in New Mexico. I would like to hear your guys' take on that.
Sure. Dulce has got a lot of stuff going on. They've got some of these, what most people think is like this new phenomenon, the strange earth noises. They've had the Dulce hum, which has been going on and off for a long time. And it is kind of like one of those places where the rumors just are rampant. It is a hot spot for UFO sightings, but when they talk about what they're doing underground, that's one place I have not gone yet, and I would like to visit it. But you're right, there are kind of these obscure bases that are not ingrained in the UFO history that we don't know much about, but they do play a part.
Yeah, I think the reason that one comes up is because of the subterranean questions that get brought up, that the blueprints are incomplete and that it's much larger underground. And you're talking about HARP, right? The earth noises that people are hearing? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean, but they're kind of, the HARP is sort of involved in some of the conspiracy theories, but also they're legitimate cities and towns who have dedicated like councils to investigate this stuff. And Dulce is one of them, I think, that is really looking into it.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think that more work needs to be done into it, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm going to phrase this very badly because I'm a little nervous.
Join the club.
So, my question is just kind of a general, what really scares you the most when you're doing these things? Is it stuff like, for Josh, like the Island of Dolls where you see these freaky dolls all over the place? Or is it like Chernobyl where you're actually for sure 100% at risk? You know, it's like, which is scarier to you? The possibility or the
Right.
actual
For me, the possibility is always scary when we do the cryptid stories, because I generally believe that the people that we interview have seen something. Now, what they have seen is, I think, usually not a monster, but they have seen something. So for me, I don't like the water episodes very much. It's always like some murky, right? It's almost never like clear water. It's like I got some murky, chunky water. And I generally believe that the 15 people that were on the shore and said they saw something huge in the water, saw something huge in the water. And it might be a snake, it might be a crocodile, but I don't typically like those.
Yeah.
Those are my least favorite cases.
Do you guys have like...
Marriage. I'll
walk you through it, man. It's not that big.
I would second what what Josh said, when we were in Racetown Lake, we went, dry suit diving, and the network was like, well, are they certified? We're like, no. Okay, so we went up to Hollywood Hills in some guy's pool for a day, and we learned how to use a dry suit, and then we're put in 43-degree water, 3-foot visibility, completely black, and it feels like someone put a garbage bag over your head and threw you in there because we've got these intercom masks on. And then you're thinking, this would not be a good time to find out the lake monster is real. So those are some of the real scary times.
Yeah, I think, whenever you go out, especially on the cryptid episodes where we're out in the middle of...
We deal with a lot of people that are having, problems in their home. And whether those problems are psychological or supernatural, it doesn't matter. But what scares me is when literally, like, they won't have their kids come over. I mean, they can't sleep at night. But then we find, and then we come in, but then we find out that they're having their kids do investigations there because they see it on TV, and they have their kids going around dowsing rods, things like that. So those are the things that scare me, because whether it's supernatural or not, you're creating, an environment for yourself psychologically where you're going to be terrified.
And kids need to be kids. They need to grow up without having those fears.
Exactly. So that scares the crap out of me. The second being when we're investigating locations, we've had a couple of times where people have actually shown up, and we don't know who they are, homeless people and stuff like that. So that scares me too. But
are you against homeless?
No, that sounded terrible. I love homeless people.
I know this story. I know the stories you're referring. Every track.
Yeah. No, but it can be dangerous because you get crazy people in some of these places. So.
Yeah. Oh, we gave the 1 minute sign already. I think he's cutting us off. So yeah, the ring.
All right, one more quickie. Here we go.
Hey. Hi guys.
Hiya.
Hi. All right, one more question. So, will you be? Are you guys still going to be at your booth?
Yeah, we'll be at our booth.
Awesome.
Yes, after this work.
1625.
Yep. Ben's at 1625,
Yes.
right? And then Jason and Ryder and I are over in the signing area. And if anyone didn't get their question answered, come down, come say hi to us. We're also signing photos and selling books.
Yeah, and if you leave right after this, I think all of us have websites. Most of them are just our names, right? Yeah, just Google. You know how to use Google. Just look at our website. We do have like sign-up lists if you want to keep updated on where we're at, and Twitter and stuff like that is easy to find us. But we look coming up. Okay, what's your grand question?
Also, question. I'll try to make it quick and make it good for the last one. Piggybacking a little bit on something that you said, Jason. There are a plethora of paranormal TV shows out now. It seems like every time you turn on TV, there's another new show with a paranormal theme. Some of them are really good and responsible, like yours. Some of them are a little bit less so. Given the sort of abundance now, do you think paranormal TV shows have become more of a blessing or a curse to the paranormal investigation community?
Josh, take this question.
I don't know. I'm a little bit more in the sort of, I sort of see, TV is TV. I think it happens with every genre, right? I think that television has been great for the paranormal. It remains really popular. There's a reason there's so many shows. There's so many shows because a lot of these shows have done really well, and that's a sign that something's working. I do think there's a real saturation in the market, and I think that there is a decline actually right now in paranormal programming. It might not feel that way yet, but it feels like they're ordering less and less of it around town, and I think that's because it's become a little too saturated. And I think it needs a bit of a reinvention. I think that the next wave of paranormal shows will probably have a different spin on them. I don't know. I think that I think on the level it's been good for the paranormal community. I think there's a huge interest in the topic, and I think that even though not every show necessarily treats the paranormal with the same amount of respect, maybe is the word. I think on the whole, it's been good for the paranormal community.
Yeah, it's removed the stigma a lot, like ghost hunters, and if nothing else, it's made it so that people don't think everyone's out there doing seances and stuff like that. And you will see a change. Yeah, you will see a change in it, and a lot of these networks are afraid of the talking head shows where you're actually learning a ton, and not just being entertained like some of them. So yeah, good question.
Yeah. Oh, we're out. Darn it.
Well, just to wrap things up, because I like a little scavenger hunt or whatever, all of my panelists up here were nice enough to sign some of these, and for those of you that are looking to get one, there's only a few. If you at 3 o'clock, if you go to Artist Alley and the number is 1243, maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones that gets one of these autographed pictures.
I'm glad it's at 3, not like right now.
You know what? Because it's not at 3. Because he's actually he's the Bigfoot. He has a Bigfoot comic book. Check it out. And he's on a panel from 2 to 3. So maybe you should go to his panel after this. But go get one. Battle it out. I don't know. And then tweet us and let us know who gets it. Because there's only 9 of them available. So
let's give it up for Christiane and organizing. Servitude to be the Factor Pick representative, and also to Comikaze for having us here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
See you downstairs, guys. Thanks so much.
Can you text it till I get back there?